branch or ColumbiaBankOnline.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Some bonds last a lifetime. Some bonds inspire confidence. And some you grow to rely on. These are the bonds worth investing in. For over 50 years, Ymca has reinvented fixed income to create opportunities for investors in every market environment. So no matter what happens, you can build the bonds that mean the most to you. Ymca, a global leader in active fixed income. Learn more at pimco.com/bonds. All investments contain risk and may lose value. Consult your investment professional before investing.
It's 2:29 on Wall Street and time for drive time traffic every 15 minutes on Bloomberg. Here's Ed Clagy. Ed, we're looking at the Garden State Parkway.
Well, the Garden State Parkway with a broken down car. This is on the northbound side coming in right after exit 151, just before the Larry Doby service area. And with that right lane blocked, traffic is a bit slow through that area. So the outbound side of the Holland Tunnel right now, looks like in about 10 minutes to leave town. No problems coming in from either approach. 10 minutes out of the Lincoln Tunnel. And yes, there is the construction still in place over at the George Washington Bridge. Traveling in Manhattan, looks like the west side, not bad at all. A little bit of a break tap for the 150s on up a heavier ride over on the Harlem River Drive. That's already at least 15 minutes in and through that area. Cross Bronx, nearly a half hour into the George Washington Bridge, backed up from before the area of the Bronx River Parkway. And the LIE through Queens, very heavy already, essentially from the BQE stretching all the way out to the Cross Island Parkway. Bloomberg 11:30, 3-day weather. For tonight, we'll see clear skies, lows sit down to the mid-40s. Tomorrow, sunny, high 60 to 65. The weekend, Saturday, sunny skies, high 65 to 70. And Sunday, cloudy showers expected, highs of 60 to 65. Right now in Central Park, it is sunny, 58 degrees. With the best news in and out of the city, I'm Ed Kalegi, Bloomberg 11:30. Bloomberg Business Week continues.
Broadcasting live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 106.1 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week.
All right, you are listening and watching Bloomberg Business Week on this Thursday. We're talking about the markets. We're talking about a lot of different things. And, of course, that resignation of the UK Prime Minister. But we're keeping a watch on inflation because a hawkish Fed is certainly putting pressure on the markets. We're going to talk about it, Mike, when it comes to healthcare specifically.
Yeah, amazing how high the inflation is in the health insurance industry. My eyes sort of popped when I read these figures, so we'll have to unpack it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share that in just a moment. First up, though, back to the market. That sell-off and Charlie Keller.
Thank you very much. We are low across the board. Do want to begin with a headline from the Bloomberg Professional Service. Credit Suisse cleared of claims. It conspired to fix FX rates. Developing story. More details as they become available. But again, repeating the headline, Credit Suisse cleared of claims. It conspired to fix FX rates. The Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ all lower after hawkish remarks today from Federal Reserve officials. We've got the 10-year now at 4.21%, the 2-year 4.59%. Choppy session, but right now equities at the lows of the day with the S&P down 37, drop there of 1%. The Dow down 136, down by about 0.5. NASDAQ down 93, a drop there of 0.9%. Spot gold, little change, down 24 cents the ounce to $16.29, and West Texas Intermediate crude up 0.5%, 85.98 a barrel on WTI. Investors, meanwhile, are digesting the latest batch of earnings reports. Last night we did hear from Tesla. Tesla shares down now by 7.4%. IBM shares up 4.7%. As for the broader earnings outlook, Deborah Cunningham is Chief Investment Officer for Global Money Markets at Federated Investment Management.
2/3 of the earnings that have come in for the third quarter have come in beating estimates. Not beating by very much, but beating estimates. So there's cash on a homegrown basis to be used and to keep the market very highly liquid at this point.
Transportation stocks having a tough day, specifically railroads. Union Pacific fell after cutting its forecast for volume growth to reflect, quote, a challenging year. Shares of the railroad, Union Pacific, down now by 6.5%. Also reporting earnings last night, trucking firm Knight Swift Transportation reporting a more rapid slowdown in the freight market, and Knight Swift down now by 5.8%. Briefly on the railroads, among the names reporting after the close of trading today, CSX, its shares down now by 3.2%. Recapping, S&P down 32 points now, a drop there of 0.9%. The 10-year, 4.20%. I'm Charlie Pellet. That is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
All right, great update there from Charlie Pellet. Well, inflation and rising labor costs will increase U.S. national health care spending by $370 billion in the next 5 years. This is according to a McKinsey report. Consumer prices are rising faster than healthcare inflation, but general inflation has recently driven up healthcare supply input costs. So with thoughts on that and more, with us as he is every week, Dr. Ian Lustbader, clinical professor of medicine at NYU Langone, back with us on the phone in New York City. Ian, we love having you here. Great to have you here on this Thursday with Mike Regan and myself. How are you?
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Hope everyone is staying healthy and well with new COVID variants out there, but it seems to be under control. But what's not under control, unfortunately, is healthcare inflation. We're seeing rises of over 6% a year. Healthcare is 20% of the GDP, over $4 trillion a year, and really estimated by 2030 to be up to $6.8 trillion a year. And there are a lot of reasons, unfortunately, why we're seeing healthcare inflation, and we can talk about that. But certainly part of the problem is our per capita costs. You know, it's about $12,000 per person per year. Other countries like France, Canada, about half that, $5,000 to $6,000 a year. So the real question is, why are our costs higher than other countries?
Yeah, well, Doctor, I would like to unpack a little bit some of the main drivers of that inflation. You know, my guess would be that there were so many health insurance claims for COVID, whether it be testing or treatment. Is that one of the big drivers of the increase in particularly health insurance costs?
Yeah, there are really a number of drivers. One is hospital care, which is very expensive. You know, you can just look at the bills from even an ER visit. That's about 30% of the cost. The workforce is about 40% of the healthcare costs. And we're really seeing wage pressure, you know, both physicians and RNs, because there's a labor shortage. A number of physicians have retired. A number of nurses are leaving the workforce. So there's really wage pressure in that area. And definitely illness, things like the pandemic, an aging population, an unhealthy population. About 40% of the U.S. is obese, overweight. They use a lot of resources, diabetes, hypertension. More technology also. You know, we have robotic surgery, and all of those are very, very expensive. They're high quality, high tech, but also very expensive. So we're really seeing a combination of things, and the pandemic did not help with resource utilization. All of those nasal swabs that people are doing, sometimes on a daily or weekly basis, really add up, and that's, you know, government money that's been printed in order to give out those kits. So we've really had a number of forces that are raising prices, and there are not a lot of market forces, competition, advertising prices to help lower that. That's part of the challenge.
So, not a new, right, we talk about this for a long time, the cost of health care. But Ian, I do feel like there's expectations among Americans that I want a certain level of care when I walk in a hospital. I want X, Y, Z. I mean, how do we change the thinking, or how do we really constructively get the price of health care down?
You know, you're exactly right, Carol. We want Cadillac care, and we do have amazing high-tech care, really the state-of-the-art, but we don't really want to pay for it. And unfortunately, we will have to choose. In other countries, there are delays if you need elective hip surgery, knee replacement. You can't walk in if you're 85 years old and get it the next week. In the U.S., we can. So I think we need to shift expectations and really say, without rationing care per se, can we change our expectations? We certainly want high-quality care, but if we give high-quality care to everybody all the time without any competition or cost market forces, we're going to be in trouble with a higher percent of our budget.
All right, 30 seconds left. I got to ask you, because I want to know. I'm double boosted. I'm double vaxxed. I've seen the line to the vaccine. Who should get that next booster? Just quickly, and when? Yeah.
Yeah, the bivalent, which is the B4 and 5, is important to get. Certainly, if you have chronic medical issues or if you're older, above 65, it makes sense. It is available for everyone, young and old, but certainly the target audience should be people with underlying medical problems. There are a couple of new variants out there, too, which may be a bigger problem.
Yeah.
We don't really know how effective the new vaccine is for those, but probably will help. Certainly, if you have medical issues, it makes sense to get it.
How long do you wait after you've had COVID? Yes, I'm asking you, Dr. Les Bader, for me. Just quickly.
Your antibodies and T cells are good for at least 3 to 4 months, so I would not rush to get the vaccine if you had COVID within the last few months. There's really no data on that. Your antibodies should be fine for at least 3 months.
Thank you so much. As always, and smart to talk about inflation in healthcare because it's certainly something that's very persistent. Dr. Ian Les Bader over at NYU Langone Medical Center. Off to the national news and Nancy Lyons. Hey, Nancy.
Thanks, Carol. President Biden is in Pennsylvania promoting the bipartisan infrastructure law that has helped repair a Pittsburgh bridge that collapsed earlier this year.
Pittsburgh is a city of bridges, but too many of them are in poor condition, like this bridge behind me before it collapsed. With the bipartisan infrastructure law, we're doing something about it. This is just one of 2,400 bridges across the country that are being repaired just this year because of this law.
From Pittsburgh, Biden is traveling to Philadelphia to stump for John Fetterman, who is in a tight Senate race with Dr. Mehmet Oz. Florida is still working on recovering from the damage from Hurricane Ian. And today, Governor Ron DeSantis announced that a special session of the Florida legislature will be held to consider providing property tax relief for people and businesses whose property was destroyed. He's also extending the deadline for those residents to pay their property taxes. More political upheaval in the UK today with British Prime Minister Liz Truss resigning 45 days after taking office. She served a tumultuous term in which her policies triggered turmoil in financial markets and a rebellion in her party. Sir Jake Berry is chairman of the Conservative Party and outlines next steps.
In conjunction with the 1922 committee, we have decided that if the party should decide to put forward 2 candidates, there will be an expedited binding online vote for Conservative Party members to choose its next leader. All stages of the leadership election will be concluded by no later than Friday the 28th of October.
That's Sir Jake Berry. Global news 24 hours a day on air and on Bloomberg Quick Take. I'm Nancy Lyons.
Thank you so much, Nancy Lyons, in our 99.1 newsroom in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Carol Masser, along with Mike Regan, who's in for Tim Stanovic here on Bloomberg Business Week on this Thursday. Tim is on assignment. So we've got a great guest coming up in just a moment. Great check on the retail, on supply chains. We're going to check in once again with Joe Preston, President and CEO at New Balance. In the meantime, just thinking about prep for that, a story came to our attention, Mike, and it has to do with Adidas, however you'd like to say it. If you're Matt Miller, you say Adidas.
Adidas. I still say Adidas. I don't know.
I do, too.
Do you say Nike or Nike? Remember?
Are you kidding? Is that a thing?
Well, which one? What's the right?
I say Nike.
Yeah,
I say Nike.
Correct,
I do say Porsche too. So it isn't Porsche. All right. Adidas warned Adidas warning that unsold goods are piling up as consumer demand is weakening across China and Western markets, prompting a fresh profit warning from the sneaker makers. This certainly caught our attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the latest in some troubling news for Adidas. Remember, they are on cold ice with Mr. Kanye West when his sneaker brand called Yeezy put that under review amid growing acrimony and erratic behavior from the hip-hop icon and designer. I wonder if any of Kanye's shoes are among the unsold sneakers piling up. I doubt it. I think they sell pretty quick.
I was going to say, and they're pretty expensive, right?
Yeah.
And these brands, these kind of iconic brands or brands that've been around, they often partner up with a designer or a celebrity, and it often is a great driver of revenue for the company.
You're right. But it really seems like their problems they're running into now are centered in Greater China. Just a slowdown there, given weak currency and still all those COVID lockdowns. I guess people just aren't wearing out their sneakers like they once did.
Yeah, I feel like all those macro issues, right? Whether it's COVID over in China, just the global inflationary picture, we are seeing that certainly impact as companies are reporting their earnings. Adidas now expecting an operating margin of 4% this fiscal year. That's down from a prior forecast of 7%. So that's a pretty big haircut. All right, you are listening and watching Bloomberg Business Week, and this is Bloomberg. And be sure to catch Bloomberg Business Week, the weekend show, and the story of how Exxon's toxic culture has driven workers away from a once-coveted career. That's Bloomberg Business Week, Saturday at 8 a.m. on Bloomberg Radio.
As the sun sets in the U.S., another market day is just beginning. Bloomberg Daybreak Asia.
I'm Brian Curtis.
And I'm Doug Krisner.
We'll look at how U.S. restrictions on tech exports to China are wreaking havoc with the chip equipment making industry.
And we'll preview the conclusion of the 20th Party Congress.
Bloomberg Daybreak Asia, tonight at 6 on Bloomberg 1130, the Bloomberg Business app, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening.
New York City's first and only life plan community, River's Edge, will soon be built on a 32-acre campus along the Hudson River, just minutes away from Grand Central and Riverdale. River's Edge, a community for adults ages 62 and up, combines a cosmopolitan lifestyle with the security of knowing that if your health changes, your needs can be met seamlessly right where you live.